Hi, this is Swapnil Bharti and welcome to another episode of TFR Newsroom. And today we have with us Michael Benansari. You are Senior Vice President of Products and Marketing at SIOS. First of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Today, SIOS is announcing a new service or product, which is you're bringing AppKeeper to AWS customers. So I'm curious, can you tell us a bit about what is AppKeeper? What does it do?
AppKeeper is another extension of our availability portfolio for providing availability to applications and systems running in AWS EC2 environments. AppKeeper will monitor specific services within the operating system and within the application for any application and identify when there are issues. And when there are issues, it can take corrective action should the user have configured it to do so. And in the end, it's addressing what we found is about 85% of failure scenarios that customers are experiencing are being addressed with AppKeeper.
And is this the first time you're bringing AppKeeper to AWS?
We're launching it in the United States for the first time now. We've actually been selling it in Japan since 2017 with very good success.
So I'm curious, are there no other either services that Amazon offers or built-in tool for recovery, when any of the, EC2 instance goes down?
Sure. Let me take that in two parts, from a services standpoint and from a tool standpoint. There are tools that can do similar functionality. However, there are separate tools. Some do monitoring, like, for instance, CloudWatch. Others things do corrective actions and can take action. Oftentimes, those require manual intervention, scripting, and manual maintenance. So what AppKeeper does is it automates that whole process of discovery, of installation and deployment configuration, monitoring, and corrective action. So it takes the onus off of an administrator to set them up, maintain them, and continue to monitor and do any corrective action necessary as time goes on. From the services side, from a managed service standpoint, there are many vendors out there that provide application monitoring services and system monitoring services. We actually integrate with those. So SIOS is a very open company. We have very open technologies, and AppKeeper is no different. So we allow customers, we allow vendors to integrate with their own solutions if they so choose, to utilize and take advantage of the capabilities that AppKeeper delivers and bring that information into their own product so they can manage, present dashboards and so forth from their own interface. So providing additional services to their end customers.
So they can bring their own tools or whatever they're using with AppKeeper.
That's correct. They can embed AppKeeper and integrate AppKeeper with their existing tools, existing dashboards and interfaces, and it drives more automation for them to get better results and higher service level agreements to their customers.
Excellent. I'm also curious, how hard or challenging is it for DevOps team to keep track of all these failures and whether the services or instances are coming up or not, and how AppKeeper kind of make their life easier or simplify things?
You hit right on the real value of AppKeeper. There's so many things that DevOps has to look at and maintain, getting new systems in place, keeping things updated, and then monitoring for failures and looking for failures and tracking alerts. And that's what we hear often is they have all these alerts coming at them. They have to monitor them. They have to look at them, identify them, investigate them. Are they real? Have they already been addressed? Is it something we have to address? AppKeeper takes a whole set of those alerts, a whole category of those alerts, those service alerts from AWS, out of their day-to-day monitoring. They'll see them, and they'll see the activity that's going on through the AppKeeper console. However, they don't have to respond and react to them because they can configure AppKeeper to actually take action on their behalf. So now they'll get them, they'll track them. They certainly want to know what's happening and what did happen. But with AppKeeper, now they're looking really in the rears to see, okay, we had an issue and AppKeeper resolved it. So they don't have to react quickly or see those. They can put more of their dedicated focus and time on other more critical things while AppKeeper maintains their application availability.
How frequent are these downtimes of Amazon EC2 services? Do you have any kind of stats or data there?
We do. So what we found is customers with just an average of 3 instances, just 3 3 systems running in EC2, they experience downtime at least once a month. So if you add that up over a greater set of systems and a greater period of time, that gets pretty large, and it's quite an enormous feat to manage and track that. And the challenge is they don't know when something's going to go down, so they have to monitor these systems constantly to see when something does happen and then take action.
What kind of applications and services does AppKeeper, ensure that they are available as well as they can be recovered? Can you tell us a bit about that?
So AppKeeper, without having to directly integrate with applications, it can actually look inside of the operating system, that instance, Windows or Linux, running in EC2, identify the services that are running there, system services as well as application services. So SAP, SQL, Oracle, PeopleSoft, whatever application it might be, if they're running as system level services, AppKeeper will identify them and will monitor those and will ping them, if you will, to identify if they're active and responsive, and if they're not, it can take action on that. One of the real nice things is it's not application specific, it supports any application.
What does the pricing model look like for AppKeeper? Because you have a big suite of applications. So do you offer it as a bundle, or it is a standalone service or product?
The pricing is made to be very simple. So AppKeeper is a SaaS offering. It's offered in the cloud as software as a service. Customers can go out and try it for free. There's a version that it's pretty much full functioning version they can use for free on some of their AWS instances. If they choose to take advantage of the full license, it's licensed at $40 per instance per month. So it's relatively low cost and extremely simple to deploy. There's no agent that we have to deploy. There's no AppKeeper agent. So it's quite simple and non-intrusive, and it's pretty much automated from deployment, discovery, monitoring, and remediation.
Can you talk about some of the features or capabilities that AppKeeper brings to AWS customers?
The automation is one of its key functional areas in terms of the ease of use which it brings. And then when it digs into the operating system and looks into the instance to identify what's happening in the instance. So some of the capabilities, the features that are useful there, the ability to monitor, and these are all configurable. So you can choose to restart a service or not. So if somebody wants to just get an alert and take manual action, that's okay. Certainly you can enable restarting of the service. Then you can enable rebooting of the entire instance. If a restart does not reactivate that service, we can reboot the system, which generally that would kick it and it started from scratch and brings that service and application back online. So while the application might be running and someone might look at the application and say, well, it's there, it might not be responsive. So AppKeeper is going to look and see if it's responsive. And then a big piece of what we deliver is the visibility in the dashboard. And that's in our own dashboard, or as I mentioned, where our partners are integrating that into their dashboards to have the view into their systems and the health and status of their systems and applications throughout EC2.
How easy or difficult is it to get started with AppKeeper?
Getting started with AppKeeper is quite simple. It's a SaaS-based solution. You can connect to the website. You enter your AWS ID, and we'll automatically go and discover the instances that you have deployed. From there, you can choose, just through clicking on them in the interface, which instances you want to monitor, which instances you would like to have services restarted if there's an issue, and which instances you'd like to actually reboot the instance if the service restart doesn't successfully resolve the issue. And that's really it. Again, there's no agent to install from AppKeeper. It's quite simple. And you can pay right from the AppKeeper console through use of a credit card.
Who would be the typical target audience for AppKeeper? I mean, typically it would be almost everybody who's running any instance in AWS, but any specific use cases that are like they must have AppKeeper?
Primary use cases for systems that require protection against failures. You want to maintain availability, but might not quite warrant the need for a full cluster. So a lot of times, smaller, medium-sized businesses, maybe smaller end, they don't have the resources or a skill set to manage full-blown clusters and full redundancy systems. This is a great solution for that because it provides a really high level of protection without the redundancy and the infrastructure that's required to have full redundancy. But as you said, it also makes it very useful for any size customer because they have many instances out in their environments. Some are really business critical, others are not. But even non-business critical ones, if a system goes down or if an application is not responding, some user somewhere is not being productive. So they're going to pick up the phone and call the IT department, and someone's going to have to go and monitor that system or identify the issue. So even in large enterprises that have very large staff, these are things that we can take off their plates and make sure that all of their systems, all of their environment, whether they're mission critical or not so critical to the business, they're important to someone. And so we can make sure that those systems keep running and are addressed and monitored as needed.
If you look at SIOS, you have a very wide range of portfolio. You help traditional legacy customers also. I don't know if the legacy workload is the right word or not, as well as the cloud native customers. So I'm just curious, if you look at AppKeeper itself, where does it fit into the huge, massive portfolio of SIOS, and how does it also reflect on the way market dynamics are changing and customers are moving towards cloud native workload?
So like all software vendors, we want to think that our software fits everybody and everybody needs it on every system, right? So certainly it's required for everywhere. We know that's not the case. Realistically, it would be useful to have our LifeKeeper clustering solution with full redundancy, full data replication. It would certainly be beneficial on every system, but oftentimes the cost of that redundancy isn't warranted for certain systems in the environment. So where LifeKeeper addresses many of those systems, AppKeeper addresses the rest of your environment to provide a level of protection that is simple, very, very little, if no administrative effort, while still giving you a high degree of confidence that system is going to maintain its availability and its accessibility to your end users and to your customers. So where LifeKeeper and a cluster might not fit, AppKeeper really does fit the entire rest of your environment. And because of we feel that the price point and the simplicity warrants and makes it accessible and available for every system in your EC2 environment.
Michael, thank you so much for taking your time out and not only explaining AppKeeper, but also the whole kind of landscape of high availability and recovery in the AWS environment. And I look forward to talk to you again at some point in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Likewise.